Hello and welcome to another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. I am your host, Jose on the mic, and with me, as always, is the lovely, amazing dancer, May. How are you doing, girl?
Very good.
It's always a great day when I got you on the mic with me.
I feel the same way.
There we go. I wanted to go ahead, before we got started, to make a few comments. First, that here at Dance Teachers Academy, we are central to all things dancing related, dance arena, but we feel that it would be a disservice if we would not bring certain topics to light that we feel would be beneficial to our listeners.
Topics, and
yep.
Sometimes hard.
They can be hard. We've seen them before, but it's always good to share them. We are going to embark this afternoon on a celebration of the human spirit.
Yes.
And on those lines,
overcoming,
I'm going to read to you. We have the author Onuwabuchi with us. Her book, My Dearest SUICIDE, Mine's Road to Redemption. Go check that out on iPad, iTunes. She can sit there and tell us everywhere that that's going to be. But let's welcome this young lady. How are you doing today?
I'm excited. This would be my first podcast that I've been on.
Oh,
first time interview.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Newbie.
Well, you know, it's okay because after a while, we're just going to be talking and you're not even going to know these mics are on.
I'm good at that.
There we go.
Yeah, this is I really feel like this is an important topic because it doesn't really matter what profession one is in. There are people out there that have these thoughts and I think it's really great that you put down in words how you felt and how you overcame it, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about that, but I want to just bring up the fact that when I first met you, and I was running late to women's Bible study, but even God can use a late running
May Mendez was late.
I know, it's a shock.
You have never heard this before.
So I ran into her, and you were looking looking for the women's Bible study. And ever since, for the first moment I met you,
because I also was late.
Oh, so that's what happened.
It was great. And so God put us together. And I really have enjoyed you from the moment I met you. We've had a great time. We've only known each other for a short time.
Yeah.
But it's been like an instant connection. It was great. So the reason I bring that up, though, because we were both laughing and having fun when we first met each other and just, giggling about the fact we were both late and had a great time. So I would never think you would have ever had these thoughts because you're one of the happiest people I know.
I get that. I get that often and often. The vibe I give off to people completely contradicts the content in my first published book. So I get that all the time. Only when I share my first book and people are like, "Who is this about?" They dissociate it from myself. This has to be about someone else.
You wrote it kind of androgynous. Is that the right way to say it?
Yes, I did intentionally.
Okay,
intentionally. Why? Well, this entire book is actually a collection of poems that I have been writing since I was in middle school, and I've stayed in the same homes, from the age maybe 9 years old until about 26.
Same home.
Yes, in the same home. My parents had the same home, and so when I got to about 2012. For whatever reason, I started, I never threw away any of my poems. I keep a lot of research poems and just some writing that I do. And when I came to know Christ personally, my parents have always gone to church. And unfortunately, the vibe that what they gave off is that we're more churchians, not as so much as let me read my Bible in my intimate time. And so when I began that, it was through a friend of mine, and she just taught me how to just do it in my spare time. And I quickly got onto it. Fortunately, one day I went into my room and I started collecting all my poems for whatever reason, but I read over them. So after I began having a personal relationship with Christ,
they have a whole different meaning now.
The perspective I saw was that all of these poems are very self-absorbed, and they're negative, and it just seems as though I just kind of fell into this thing that I enjoyed, and I enjoyed the sorrow.
Yes.
And so from 9 years old to about 25, I don't know how old I was, or whatever, they just have this one continuous, it's always about either what someone did to me or how someone said something or whichever, but they were sorrowful. And by sorrowful, I mean just so sad. Mm-hmm. And so every few years, I would have a poem that would this is what I'm going to do to respond. It would be like self-inflicting. I'm going to just leave, or I'm going to make myself not available to other people, or I'm going to kill myself. Mm-hmm. And so I had at least 3 different instances where I was writing a poem and just kind of meditating on the thought of doing it. And so I laughed.
A checkout poem, basically, something like that.
And it was so sad to see after that I had a relationship with Christ. And so Christ is very faithful and have hope and have not just joy, but also, there's things that God talks about that's bad as well. He washed away everyone on earth because he didn't like what he had made and what people on earth were doing.
Sure.
But all my poems be sorrowful, what was going on. I enjoyed the sorrowfulness. I may have been creating situations or relationships with people that may, in the end, make me to where, they didn't like me, and so I may have enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. But when I collected all those poems, I had my master's degree in 2012, and so I had already been in the groove of writing at that time. So I was doing a lot of writing, obtaining my master's degrees, and so when I collected my poems that year, I said, I'm going to write a book called Suicide. And I remember laughing about it because I just was collecting them, and I had so many poems. I put them all together and made one long continuous poem over the years, and this is since 9 years old. And so what I did was to add it that year. I added the end of the book because in the beginning it's deep. And what I mean by deep is it illustrates me meditating on the thought of how I will kill myself in several ways.
And it's very dark.
Very dark. That's the word. By dark, there's no light, no hope, no joy in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so,
and there's a constant thought of, when am I going to do this? Okay, I'll do it today. Mm-hmm. Today's the big day.
Mm-hmm. And taking joy in the sorrow. Mm-hmm. It's sad, but I'm so glad that I read these poems, and I was able at that time in 2012 when I was able to see the sin, see where I was going wrong. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, but I meditated on taking a life of mine that I didn't give, on not enjoying life and not taking blessings, acknowledging blessings, just being happy and enjoying that there's nothing. I have full limbs, I have a mother and father, and they're just, I was great, but I was so sad constantly, and it's.
Do you remember being sad constantly?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember people asking my father. They couldn't come up to me. Even the demeanor I must have had was unapproachable.
The aura you gave off.
Oh my
gosh! Which is opposite of what you were
now.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful smile over here. I mean, good. You got good energy. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So my father was constantly asked so many things, but when he would come to me, he would be like, "Well, are you antisocial? Or do you like people? Do you like talking?" He would try to help me and try to guide me. When someone comes to you, this is how you can, communicate with them. Do you see the group of girls, young girls over there? He was like, you don't have to always be with us. You can go. And if I can remember that, and it wasn't too long ago, but unfortunately, I wasn't even approachable, as approachable, or even choosing to mingle. So I may have liked being in sorrow. You know what I mean? So after I came into having my own personal life relationship with Christ and just spending time into the Word, where I must have been dwelling in the Bible, brought so much, not just vibrancy that people may be receiving now, but also for me to change my perspective and see my own thoughts. And to see, girl, get your life together. Nothing is sad here. Everyone is happy as you.
That comes through real good on.
I'm sorry. Girl, cheer up. There is nothing wrong here.
Right?
Yeah. And if anything, you may be inciting it. So calm down. And so This became like I said. Suicide is a metaphor for what you and all of us have. It's a relationship we have with something that keeps us away from Christ. I enjoyed being either sex, drugs, or alcohol, or my mindset, which was self-absorbent, and some other things, pride and not considerate of others, which kind of comes off in me being late everywhere I go. But that was my biggest thing, self-absorbency. Oh, they must be thinking. No one actually here is thinking about you. Calm down, and everything's great.
So let me ask you.
Truth be told,
we took a poll. No one thought what you're thinking.
Because you did a lot of this reading, and to be honest with you, I hadn't got a chance to really pour over every word, which I want to, because I have to tell you, I had to take it in small doses. Because when it went dark, I was like, wow. And then, but here's the thing I'm thinking. Well, I know there's other people out there that have got to be feeling that way. And I think if they would say in the moment, like, okay, that's very good for you right now. Everything is going great for you. You don't understand me. Well, what would you say to them?
I'm not going to understand. People at that time may not understand how there was nothing wrong on the outside, but in the inside, I don't know why I chose to have that perspective on life. I have no idea either, and I'm not going to know someone else's situation either.
No, that is true, and I'm glad somebody actually says that, because they're like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're going through." No, you don't.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
You might have the same symptoms, but it's you
might be
what you're doing. Yeah, what you're feeling and what I'm feeling are completely different.
And I'm not going to try and give them my medicine either.
Right.
But because it may have different reactions, they're going to react differently or whichever. But
there's a way out to that feeling.
Yes. And I think it was just a choice. But the chain of events, actually, I was engaged in, and because my parents were so popular, I became popular because of the new excitement or whichever. And then all of a sudden, he didn't want to be engaged anymore. And then culturally in that community, I was looked at as, what did you do wrong to mess up the engagement? I was like, I didn't, but I was having to defend myself so much, I quickly went back into thinking, like, maybe I did do something wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's something I have to protect myself from doing. I still have these thoughts. I still, it's in my core. And so just because I'm aware of it doesn't mean I don't have it anymore. I have to protect myself from things that can incite these thoughts, because I enjoy doing it. I have to protect myself because it feels good. I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
As long as you don't succumb to them, yes, they're going to be there.
And I have to make sure that I don't teach my children also to be okay with sorrowful thinking. When good things happen, you thank God. When bad things happen, you thank God. I can't wait to see what God's about to do with this situation. Mm-hmm. And so when that happened, I was in this took about 4 months to actually write and finish, and I went back into that thought process again in 2012, and I didn't think that the disengagement was my problem, was my fault. But the way people were coming at it, there were just so many people, because so many people knew my parents, and then there's so many people asking for, what did you do? We need to know. We don't want our daughters to do it. And I was just like,
hey, thanks for the vote of confidence.
He just decided he doesn't want to be married again or whatever. But then I finished my book, and people were like, oh, you can produce something good out of your life. We thought you were useless all this time. And I'm just like, people can be so harsh with their words, and they don't know what I'm struggling with, the thoughts that go on through my mind. But this is what keeps me away from believing that God is there. He wants to do anything and everything for me that is alignment with Him and His will. But sometimes I'm just like, I'm not worthy of it, or He's not going to listen to my prayers. I'm talking to myself. Those are lies, but I have to tell myself those are lies, because I have so many things that I fed for so long that I'm just going to keep myself out of heaven instead of just going and, what, God has already, my name's already in the book of life. Let me go forward. I'm just going to sit outside and be like, oh, it's not good. I enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I have to just protect myself. In the beginning of this book, I talk that way. Mm-hmm. And the devil, the text changes, and the
Yeah.
devil uses what I'm saying to say, you are so right, you should kill yourself. Let me tell you how. But he doesn't even tell me how. And I give him examples and things that I meant. I give him that. And he uses that, and he tries to encourage me.
And confusion.
And,
it's a state of confusion because using God's words.
The scriptures.
Yeah.
And, just,
and then it's like, well, wait, who's talking? Wait, ooh. Yeah. Really put in a state of confusion. And then enticing. Yeah. Do this.
That's how my conversations were when I was younger. Confusing, and just I would probably twist things. It's probably why I didn't have a lot of friends. Mm-hmm. But now it's not a problem.
It's like she talks weird.
They get all tangled. Like, is she?
We just want to go.
Friends or,
we just want to go to the mall, and she's talking weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of males, females that have very deep, intense thoughts. And if you did some of these writings when you were 9. That is an incredible vocabulary, expression.
It still is a talent. Just got to use it.
Exactly.
It's a talent, but I can't be trying to bring people to Christ with all the dark stuff and stuff. Just as vibrant as I am, I can get as dark, but this I have.
And I think that's important to note because we can do that, right? It doesn't matter what culture it is. I want to talk a little bit more about culture in a moment, but it doesn't matter what culture we're from, right? We want to present our best self. How's everything? Oh, great. I'm doing this and
keep
that,
the facade up.
This and that, and I think it's important to go, you know what? I am having a hard time and struggling, and I'm putting a lot of energy into whatever it is. And I'm impatient, and I would like to see some results, and it's not, and you know what? Ask me how my day is today, and I'm not saying today, but, well, no.
Well, maybe today.
But do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I have bad days.
I always say,
I can just start feeling really down, like, oh my gosh, and hard on myself. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? And so then it can start a conversation. So it's so important to get yourself out of these self-conversations. What were you saying?
My favorite thing is like, hey, you know what? Sometimes the dragon wins. Just figure out how he beat you that day and don't let him do it again.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Now, you can say that now.
Simple, not easy. Simple, not easy.
Simple. Yeah, it's simple, but just not easy.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. I'm like, okay, hey, listen, I got beat down today. What did how did this happen? Okay, I could have done this, I could have done that, I probably should have done this, and I didn't. You throw it's procrastination, a lot of it. That's what happens. A lot of it is procrastination. Should have done this, and that pushed me behind, and here it comes. It just snowballs. But, he beat me today. I'm not going to do this again tomorrow. I know to sit there and do what I need to do. So
I don't think I ever asked myself, what can I do to do better? Or how can I not? I don't think I had that much faith in me to ask myself, how did this situation happen? I just felt like I deserved it, or it should come to me. That's what I don't know. Because in order to ask yourself, oh, how can this never happen again? One of them was bullying. And I just don't know why they just choose you or whichever. But sometimes some people think that we can just see that you're not going to, fight back.
You're not going to fight back?
Yeah, maybe
they just target you.
So that, they can target you. But for me to ask myself, how can this not happen again? Maybe, what do you have to have? You have to have some kind of hope in yourself. Some kind of...
Pretty much, yeah.
You have to have some kind of hope in yourself that I'm better than this.
Yeah, I'm better than this.
But yeah.
So how did you find the hope? Where did you find the hope?
I had some lady that was supposed to come do my hair, and I saw her, and she saw me, and she was like, oh, you do hair now? She was like, we can do each other's hair. We can do it for free, and it would be great. So much money. Oh. So she came over to my house, but the day before she came over, someone that she was engaging in, just trying to have a study partner or something like that, but they became friends out of studying. He died, and she had been fasting so that he could be revived, her and that gentleman's brother, and God said no. So and then her mom had said, good thing he died so that you wouldn't have to think of marrying somebody outside of your tribe. And so she came to my house so that thought could, because we could talk about something else. She knew that I didn't know what that was going on, so she came to my house to just change focus or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that happened, but she came over to my house and we started talking about it's been a long time since I've seen you, and then I misspoke and said something about the Bible. I think I was just putting it over here, and we were to continue our conversation. And I said, the Bible can be contradictory. As soon as I said that, she's 6'1". And when she stood up in my parents' house, she almost hit the light bulb. She was just like,
8 foot tall.
How dare you? It hurt her so bad. She spent a whole hour talking about how the word of God is so true, how God is not contradictory. Everything he says is sound. And I didn't have the rest. I went to church, and so that was the max you could do in God's eyes, to my knowledge. That's all you do. That you just go to church, and that makes you a perfect Christian. I never read my Bible. I never wrote in it. Never opened it. But you have to own one, and you have to go to church. Those are the symbols.
You have to carry it.
And
Something you had to carry.
Yeah. And then,
You're missing a whole lot there, girl.
No.
And it has to go like this, so the pages look like they've been
beyond
right.
that is toxic faith. What?
Got to be careful. You get paper cuts out there. That brand new.
I've had this for 100 years, and we never opened it. I don't know what it says, but I had heard someone say it's contradictory. Sometimes God says this, sometimes he does that for this and that person. And so that's all I know, because I didn't read it. And so she was so hurt by that. She preached so much to me that I was just like, guess she's not trying to be my friend. She ain't going to touch this hair. And so after that,
I'll show her.
But I thought I was valuable then, because I was going to dismiss her, talking all this God stuff in my parents' house. What? So after that, she pursued me so much, and it helped her because she was mourning. But she was so, it hurt her personally for me to say that about the Bible that she committed. I was like, first off, you have a Bible with you. That's weird, one. But she didn't get what I was trying to impress upon her, that's weird. You're walking around with a Bible. You know where everything is. What are you, a pastor or something? I know you're not, because you don't have a white collar. I don't know. But she kept coming over. She would call me.
Well, you were really judging the heck out of her, weren't you?
Of course, that's my job. I go to church and I own a Bible. I don't read.
That gives me a license.
Yes, that's what I'm supposed to. I'm helping Jesus. So, but she kept coming, and she.
How many times did you check? Hey, I got this. I got this. Let me
work.
This, God. Yeah, let me work on this a little.
I'm working on your behalf. Don't worry. I'll report back to you my findings.
Yeah, right.
So.
I'm working on the report right now.
So she kept coming after you.
And we lived 8 minutes away. I was like, oh my gosh. Turns out we were so close, and she could come and visit whenever she could and whenever she wanted.
Yes, she did.
And she.
So you got a fresh beat down about one every 2 days.
We were reuniting, and I was going to benefit because she does it. We hadn't done each other's hair by now. And I don't know, she just kept, every 3 days. But yet, I opened the door for her. I picked up her phone call. And I found myself, and I remember sharing this with another friend, I want to see if what she's talking about, she actually lives. And she did live that. She was incongruent. She was congruent with what she was saying. She was very congruent. I thought she meant boyfriend about the guy that she was like, boyfriend, I don't have, my only lover is Christ. How dare I go to a man to find who God, I go to God first, and God will bring, I just share my heart and my thoughts to him and my wishes. He already knows it. He designed me. Wow. And I'm just like, and she kept being right, and I would ask her questions, and she was like, oh, that's a good question. Let's find out together. If she didn't know. And I love that humility. I love that openness and that transparency. But I didn't know any other human being like that, so I kept doubting her, unfortunately. But yet she stayed my friend. I don't know why, but she did. And because of that, I looked at life differently. I looked at myself differently. And then when I started finding my points after that, I was just like, who is this? Oh my God, get your life together. It's not that hard. And so she helped me change my perspective, and God changed my perspective on life. And my life was great.
So is there anyone that you know that you went after as much as she went after you? Just having that that experience,
that zeal,
that didn't value our friendship over her relationship with Christ. She didn't care whether or not I was her friend or not. Wow. She was going to change my perspective on the God that she serves. And I was like,
she's legit.
She is legit.
She sounds legit.
Linda Igbenegi, who is now Linda Ayozie, is somebody
Shout out.
Yes, somebody who just lives that life. Things I didn't even know God, the things that were in the Bible. Our thoughts, our practices, how we are with ourselves, how we are with our thoughts and friends, and what we share and what we don't share. We should have limitations. God comes first and He's the core. And then when you start something, it should start here and then branch out. Mm-hmm. Anytime you go away, you are looking for destruction. You can't get goodness anywhere else. Mm. Goodness comes from Him. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
I get it.
But I didn't get that in church. So I love that she's a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. Because now I don't have to go to church to get the limitation. I can get it right here. I live it now.
And in the book, in My Dearest Suicide, that's how you address the beginning of each poem. There's a whole train of thought. Okay, so it was a secret. And it was this secret that you had and that you were kind of playing and enticed with. And so I wanted to bring that up because I think we talked about it, a little bit earlier today. So, especially like in your case, it was so important if you have thoughts like this, to share it with somebody. Don't keep it to yourself. Would you agree with that?
I may have thought it was a secret, but my demeanor wasn't. Such a killjoy.
Oh, okay.
That was not a secret. So no one was inviting me because I was wearing sadness on my face. Okay. Just very negative thinker. Even when I did joke, they were very scary jokes. Like, wow.
The negativity shows.
Yes.
It really does.
I'm laughing now, but I don't know. Maybe I was the only one laughing then. So I'm still full of, vibrancy, and like I still write, and I'm still a jokester. But my writing and my joking was completely different.
Like,
right.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Kind of dark, girl.
Horror stories to love stories, and so I can receive so much more now. But to answering that question, I think of siblings and my children. Recognizing behaviors that I may have been performing when I was younger, the time that I enjoy time by myself. I even celebrate when everyone goes and I don't. I'm okay with everyone enjoying something and then I don't get. Those were some of the big things that I practiced during that time frame. Because it wasn't just when I was young; it was just
for many years.
Yeah, it was just for a really, really long time. What would I want them to say? First off, what you're experiencing and what you're thinking is still a sin. It doesn't glorify God, and the thoughts do not edify. Nothing can be birthed out of that except destruction. And so I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Because I'm just thinking negatively. I didn't even say that tell myself that I'm thinking negatively. I didn't know that until I came into submerged myself to where I actually have a relationship with Christ. I don't just go to church. I actually have church in my home. I have church in myself. I praise God in my own home, in my own bedroom. So when I started doing things like that, then I was able to go back and see things that identify themselves as mine and be like, ooh, that's not of Christ. Yeah, Jesus wouldn't be happy about that.
No, that's a no-no.
That's a walk with Satan, and Satan would celebrate these. And so I would say, what we're doing, would God applaud me, or would Satan applaud me? And if Satan would applaud me, then I'm mixing and mingling with him. That's the Father I'm serving. So
can't serve two masters.
Yeah, we can't serve two. So
and there's a real struggle, like in the middle of the book, the back and forth.
Yeah.
Like
it's a lesser struggle today. It's a lesser struggle.
Yeah.
When I come across the same situations, just like if I did drugs or alcohol, going into a certain environment where I know those things will be in my mental conversation. That's my thing. Is my mind, my brain. That's where my creativity comes in. And so when I go into that part of my mind, it's the same brain I've had, the same thoughts or whatever. But when I go into that part where I enjoy being sorrowful, stop. I have to speak to myself. Stop. And that's probably why I love praise so much. Praise is positivity. Praise is exclaiming excitement, and just it's not even about myself. Praise is God. Praise is toward God. So to praise myself actually would be back into the self-absorbency. So if being self-absorbent won, but the self-absorbency was negative, and the negativity gave birth to the thoughts of suicide.
All right.
So what do you think about that? Like when it was, because that's what makes me so sad when I hear someone's killed themselves, that they felt that bad that was their only way out.
Well, in the end, I because my master's is in counseling, I did address.
That's interesting. Glad that finally came out. Wait a minute.
But even she has a very interesting background. Yeah.
But how come even as I was reading and studying the mental health, I never saw myself as someone that may have suffered from depression. But it was only when my girlfriend challenged me on her relationship with Christ and then walked that walk in front of me, whether I liked it or not, unapologetically, then that's when I was like, well, maybe I do have some things I could work on. But not when I was, not during my
when
time.
You were deep in it.
Not when I was studying mental health. I didn't see myself in any of these or whatever.
Wow.
But, yeah, so.
Because you're too busy learning, or
Oh yeah, that's everyone else.
That's everyone else. No, that's not me.
Everyone else.
Sure.
I didn't see myself in that. So, but I'm so glad that God uses individuals to bring Himself the glory, because now I can step back and see how powerful He is.
And using you to help other people. You should write some more.
I'm definitely writing, and that's another thing. Just be faithful that God will continue to, because this was all like, I couldn't believe, like, I wrote a book. What? Me? But it was so easy to write after, and just put together, because, like I said, all those years I've been writing, but putting it together in a book.
Okay, so where can we find this book?
This is Amazon.com. Type in My Dearest Suicide, or type in my name, Onuwabuchi Ayozie.com.
We'll scroll.
We'll scroll all that over here.
And when I say me, that one, the ticket.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, I don't want anybody, typo, which is why I'm keeping this.
Yeah.
And explain the meaning of your name.
All right. Onuwabuchi. Yes, Onu is mouth, or words, or people. In the Igbo language, I'm from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, even though I'm born and raised here. So that's where my accent comes out, only when I'm disciplining my children.
Wow, there we go.
I mean, if we're going to be honest. But
Mama's mad. She went back home.
She's really mad.
It sounds like there was a different culture in here. Who was that? I don't know, but I'm going to timeout. I'm taking myself to timeout. Onuwabuchi, and then means it's not what man says, but what God does. And so I prefer that name because it's a Christian name when I'm writing. So I have poems, I have blogs, I have articles, but the first published book is My Dearest Suicide, and mine's Road to Redemption. God has redeemed my thoughts and my mind. And so this is personal, but I keep it androgynous so that anyone can implant themselves here and use that metaphor of suicide. What is it that's killing us? Because once we get on track with God, we're living. We have eternal life. Mm-hmm. He's decided to give us, even though we're full of sinners, and He knew that before He even died for us. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, He's allowed us to get eternal life. But I've been redeemed, and that's everyone's story that chooses to believe in Christ. Ayozie means new beginning. So I like using my middle name and my last name. My first name is Cynthia, Moon Goddess. So
That's pretty cool too.
That's kind of cool. Now that you bring that up. All right, well, young lady, we're.
I'm not writing any Greek mythology stuff, and so I'm just gonna, it's so easy to write stuff that, you know, is fluid to you. It just comes easily and naturally.
Right.
So.
All right, Onuwabuchi, we are going to let you get out of here because I know you're busy and we got to get something going on ourselves. Yeah, right. We got to get it going on. Thank you very much for being here, sharing that spirit of yours. It's definitely a winner, girl. Hold on to that.
Keep writing.
Thank God.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
The lovely May.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, folks, this has been another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. Thank you for watching.